affected mostly in the way they work with AI. How do we reskill and upskill um, the current workforce within the current workforce to be adapted to the new way of working in AI? So all these are interventions that we've started thinking about and really looking at how we can implement. Some of them are not yet started, but we've also started on a couple of them as we go. On infrastructure and on data strategy, we're looking at two areas. One is how do we make infrastructure affordable, reliable, and scalable within Rwanda? And then, of course, viable for the kind of infrastructure that AI requires. And then what we also looking at is how could we establish affordable and reliable secure AI cloud infrastructure for the continent in itself. Something else that we've also been thinking about is how, because of we have a separate data protection and privacy law, thinking about a cloud strategy that could support any of these interventions. On data strategy, I think the most straightforward is availability and access to quality data. And this is combination of both data from government or data that is coming from private sector. So this is something that we've started working on with through our open data platform intervention. And then we've also started working under our Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution capabilities to build a research cloud for researchers and all. And then in terms of the other priorities around adoption in the public sector. So here, what we are looking at is on three fronts. So one is how can we ensure that the public sector workforce understands AI, knows what's best, and especially at sector level. So here, looking at, for example, public servants within the Ministry of Justice or the justice sector. When you look at civil servants within the agriculture sector, how do they understand AI and how to prioritize AI solutions within their sector, or what is risky and how to address any of those activities. And then, of course, we have interventions related to global partnership and conversation. And I think Benjamin talked about our collaboration on the playbook. So such activities really helping for us. The way we see it is how do we advance the voice of Africa and the need for Africa to have a clear voice on what AI can support on them. The last part, which is very, very key for us, is on how AI could continue to improve public service delivery. So we do already have a platform called Irembo where government services are used. Actually, any citizen can request any type of government services. So now our understanding, or even what we are pursuing, is to try to understand how best to really look into AI can continue to support us, whether it's in service delivery, procurement activities, or any other relevant activities that we can continue improving government efficiency. The next one is on private sector, and really here it's on two fronts. One, how do we crowd in investments for key targeted projects within the sector? How do we crowd in investments within key targeted projects? And then the last one is how do we build local collaboration between startups, finances, business resources, and then ensure that in the next couple of years we can count on how many innovations that are being created, and then of course looking at job creation. last one, of course, is on practical AI guidelines. And here we have AI guidelines that we've developed, and we're looking at how do we make sure that each of the different sectors understand what those ethical guidelines are, but then also looking at sectors that are very critical, for example, health sector, finance sector. How can we push them to have their own ethical guidelines or ethical way they look at solutions? And then, of course, we are creating we've created a responsible AI office, and then and this responsible AI office, other than also looking at continuing to increase the regulatory approach or even improve it, it's also looking at how to support other government institutions to operationalize responsible AI, and then as well as continue to be part of our global conversation on this. So this is the breadth of our AI policy. And one of the key things that we always look at is how we can implement. So for example, sorry, is there someone who's asking a question?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Okay. So maybe a quick element to wrap up is that we already have a couple of projects. For example, through our Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution, we are trying to create an AI innovation lab where we would then fast track adoption of AI both in public and private sector. And then we continue to do other work related to this. Thank you very much. Happy to take any question. Yes.
Super, donc si on a des questions, soit en anglais.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Sur l'IA. Alors, je voudrais je voudrais donc, à partir de la présentation qui est faite, poser quelques questions par rapport notamment à l'intérêt de l'intelligence artificielle par rapport aux personnes vulnérables et en particulier aux personnes handicapées. J'ai compris que le Rwanda est un peu en avance sur le Togo et donc a déjà implémenté un certain nombre de choses. Est-ce qu'ils peuvent partager les expériences spécifiquement par rapport aux personnes vulnérables, notamment sur les questions de la mobilité, de la communication, de l'éducation, parce que généralement les personnes handicapées, les personnes vulnérables, c'est-à-dire les personnes âgées aussi, ont des difficultés par rapport à la mobilité et à la communication quand nous prenons les personnes handicapées sensorielles, les personnes handicapées visuelles et les personnes handicapées auditives. Elles ont souvent des difficultés de communication également. Et comment ou quelles solutions l'IA peut apporter justement pour faciliter ou rendre plus confortable la vie de cette frange de la population. Donc je voudrais le savoir, et notamment par rapport aux situations d'urgence humanitaire. Et souvent, lorsque ces situations arrivent, et les personnes vulnérables peinent à se mettre à l'abri. Quelle solution l'intelligence artificielle peut apporter justement pour régler ce problème auquel les personnes vulnérables de façon générale et les personnes handicapées font face? Je voudrais finir par une stratégie nationale d'éducation inclusive. J'ai fait des liens entre l'IA et l'éducation, et Madame le ministre, d'ailleurs, ce matin, avait fait également ce lien. Qu'est-ce que l'IA peut faire vraiment pour promouvoir l'éducation inclusive, c'est-à-dire cette éducation-là qui inclut tout le monde, qu'on soit en situation de handicap ou non? Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour que nous ayons une éducation de qualité qui profite à tout le monde, à travers l'IA, bien sûr? Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Allow me to answer in English. So when you look at the way you would or how AI can support vulnerable groups, especially people with disabilities. For us in Rwanda, what we've seen is that today there's a regulation around accessibility, especially for digital products. And we try and get as many accessibility tools into the different platform we have as much as possible. But it's still a very long road. We are also starting to see innovators who are using technology to build accessibility tools, like for different disabilities, and we hope some of those would actually bridge the gap on how people in vulnerable groups or even people with disabilities really access technology or use the technology, and more importantly, maybe use it during their learning period. One of the things that we've seen, for example, with AI is that today, when you look at most of our services, especially for service delivery, the first use of AI would be to have, for example, for people who do not see, have voice activated service delivery that enable them to access that. And some of our different chatbots and different different platforms, digital platforms, are now trying to incorporate those capabilities. Something else that we are also seeing is like